Hello everyone. Welcome to our lesson on operations with rational numbers. I'm Teacher Bob, and today we're going to explore how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide both fractions and decimals. You might not know it, but these operations are everywhere in real life. Whether you're shopping, cooking, managing your money. Oh, the list just goes on and on. So let's dive in and see how these operations come to life. Rational numbers include fractions and decimals, and these numbers are, as I mentioned, all around us. Let's start talking about addition and subtraction. Imagine you're at a store and you buy two items. And let's say one costs 3/4 of a dollar. We write 3/4 as 3/4. The numerator, or what we're interested in, is the 3. It's the number on top, and what we're dividing the whole into is the number on the bottom. So 3/4 of a dollar. And the other costs, let's say 25 cents, or 0.25 of a dollar. So we have two different ways of expressing a portion of a dollar. We have a fraction and we have a decimal. So how much are you going to pay in total? Well, we can do this in a couple different ways. To solve this, we can add a fraction plus a fraction, or we can add a decimal plus a decimal. When we're dealing with money, dollars are based on 100 cents per dollar. So it's usually a good idea to just, if you have a fraction of a dollar, we should probably convert that to a decimal. So 3/4 of a dollar is also equal to decimal 75% of a dollar, or 75/100th of a dollar. Now we have our two items expressed as a decimal, and we just simply need to add those two numbers. So 0.75 of a dollar is one purchase, and 0.25 is our other purchase. Really, those items are 75 cents and 25 cents. So right off, you should probably know that that's $1. 25 cents and 75 cents is 100 pennies, or 100 cents. That's equal to $1. Line up our decimals here. Add from the right column going left. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7 plus 2 is 10 again. Carry the 1. And we end up with 1 in our ones column. So $1 is going to be the cost. We could, just to show you how to do this with fractions, we could add these as fractions. We have 3/4 of a dollar, and decimal 25 is equal to, well, it's equal to 25 out of 100th, or 25 out of 100, which is also equal to 1/4. So we could add 3/4 of a dollar plus 1/4 of a dollar, and because we have our denominators the same or equal or common on the bottom, we can add these fractions. We just simply keep the number on the bottom the same, and we add our numerators, or our numbers on the top. 3 plus 1 is equal to 4, and 4/4 is equal to 1/1, which is equal to 1. That means $1 to us, and that's what we also got when we added the decimals. So with money, it's much easier to just change it over to decimals because money is based on the hundredth of a dollar when we're talking about cents. All right, so if we want to convert a fraction to a decimal, which we've done up here, all we need to do is to divide the top number or the numerator by its denominator, and that'll give us a decimal. And to convert a decimal, we just have to write out the decimal number over the place value of the last digit. For example, if we had 0.35, well, we can write that as a fraction this way. We take that number, and if you know your place values with decimals, you know that this is 35 hundredths. That's how you say this. And the 3 is in the 10th place value. The 5 is in the 100th place value. So we can say this, express this verbally as 35 100ths, or 35 out of 100. And we're simply saying the number divided by or out of the place value of the number, the last number. Now, if we're talking about money, choose the 100th place value. If we're subtracting, we're just going to take the second number away from the first number. If we have fractions, we're just going to subtract the tops, the numerators, and leave the denominators the same, and reduce or simplify if you can. If you can divide a number into the top and the bottom to make your numbers smaller. If you have decimals, you're going to line up your decimals, subtract the second number from the first, keeping the decimals all lined up. All right, let's move on. And let's talk about multiplying fractions and decimals. Here's another example. If you buy 1/5 of a pizza. I love pizza. 1/5 of a pizza. What's your favorite type of pizza? And the price of pizza will say, the price for the whole pizza will say is $5. So you're going to buy 1/5 of a pizza and $5 per pizza. Okay, the question is, how much are you going to pay for your portion? 1/5 of a pizza is, as a decimal, 0.2. And to get that, we're simply taking the top number 1 and dividing by 5. And that's equal to decimal 2. I'll show you over here how that works if you're doing this longhand. So 1 divided by 5. Well, 5 cannot go into 1, so we have to put a decimal here. We bring up our decimal up to the top, and we can add a 0 here. So 5 cannot go into 1. It goes in 0 times, but 5 can go into 10 2 times, and 2 times 5 is 10. We have 0 left over, so that's how we have converted this fraction to a decimal. All right, so now we multiply. So we're just going to go 0.2 times $5, which is what it would cost for the whole pizza. And decimal 2, or 1/5 of 5, is equal to $1. Now, how do we do that longhand? Well, we can just multiply like we normally would. So decimal 2 times 5. When we're multiplying decimals, disregard the decimal until the very end. So 2 times 5 is equal to 10. We take a look at each number to see how many numbers there are, or digits, to the right of the decimal. So if we don't see a decimal, the decimal's to the right of a number. There's 0 numbers to the right of the decimal with the 5, and with 0 decimal 2 there's 1 number, and we add those up and we get 1. That 1 tells us to bring back the decimal from the very right 1 place back to the left. So there's our answer again. It's 1, or $1. I'm just going to quickly erase this page so we have some room to work here. Let's imagine that we have decimal 6 of a dollar, or 0.6 of a dollar. We can think of this as 6/10 of a dollar, or 60% of a dollar, and you want it to buy as many $1/3 dollar items as you can. So how many items can you buy? To solve this, we're going to divide 0.6 by 1/3. So we're going to divide a fraction by, if you're dividing a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. You might remember a reciprocal just means a fraction that we flip upside down. We're just going to multiply those two numbers. Forget about the decimal until the very end. 3 times 6 is 18. How many numbers are to the right of the decimal? Well, there's 1 here, 0 here, 1 altogether. That tells us to bring the decimal back 1 place. So our answer is 1.8 items. Well, you can't take a part of you can't buy a part of an item. So what that means is you're going to be able to buy 1 item and have some money left over. Maybe you go find something that's a little cheaper. Okay, great job. Now it's your turn to practice. I've got 3 questions here. Try these problems based on what we've learned. Pause the video now and solve them, and then come on back, resume to check your answers. So do that now, and we'll see you when you're finished. All right, welcome back. So our first question asks, if you buy a pencil for 3/4 of a dollar and an eraser for $0.5, how much is the total? Well, as I've mentioned, the best way with money is to use decimals, because your money is based usually with using decimals. A dollar can be broken down into 100 pieces, which are pennies or cents. So we've got 0.5. We can put a 0 on the end here to express the number of pennies or cents, so 50 cents. And 3/4 of a dollar, well, if we divide 3 by 4, we're going to end up with 0.75. And we line up our decimals one on top of the other, and we bring the decimal right down into the answer. So be very careful with that, and you'll do that with subtraction as well. And this is just a simple addition problem. You've looked after the decimals. You can forget about them now. It's in the answer there for you. Add from right to left. So 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry the 1, and 1 plus the zeros there is 1. So what's the total? It's $1.25, or $1.25. Simple as that. Okay, number 2, if you have $1.2 or $1.20 and you want to buy some candy that costs 1/4 of a dollar per piece, how many pieces can you buy? Okay, well, this is actually going to be a division problem. So 1.2 or $1.20 divided by, well, the cost of a piece of candy is 1/4, or that's equal to, if you convert it, it's equal to 25 cents. So 25 cents. So we're going to divide 25 cents into $1.20. So you can probably do this in your head. How many quarters or 25 cents do we have in $1.20? Well, a dollar is 100 pennies or 100 cents. So 25 goes in 4 times. So that's our answer, 4 candies. But I'm going to show you how to divide with decimals here. So we don't want a decimal in our divisor, so we're going to bring this decimal over 2 places to get rid of it. So we'll just have 25 on the outside. We have to do the same thing to the decimal inside or underneath the division symbol. So this decimal comes over the same number of place values. And when we're dividing, we deal with the decimal at the very beginning. Unlike with multiplying, we put the decimal in our answer at the very end. Division is just the opposite. We do it at the very beginning. So we bring the decimal straight up on top. Okay, now we have a new question. It's how many times does 25 go into 120? Well, we know it goes in 4 times, and 4 times 25 is 100. We end up with 20 left over, and we can add a 0 to the right of a decimal if we want to continue dividing. We don't have to, but I want to show you how you can get an exact answer here. But regardless, all you're going to be able to buy is 4 candies. The store owner is not going to let you buy a part of the candy. Okay, so we bring down this 0. How many times does 25 go into 200? Well, it goes in 8 times. And 8 times 25 is 200. Subtract that and you're left with 0. So your exact final answer is 4.8 candies. And in real life, you're not going to be able to buy 4.8 candies. It's going to be just 4 candies. You have to round down. Okay, and our final question asks us, a recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of sugar, but you only have a half a cup, or 5/10 of a cup, decimal 5 cups. How much more sugar do you need? All right, so we have 3/4 of a cup. We need 3/4 of a cup, and we have a half a cup. So let's take that away. A half a cup. Now we cannot subtract a half from a quarter because we need to have common denominators. The bottom numbers need to be the same. So we can multiply the 2 by 2 to get 4. If we times the bottom by 2, we have to times the top by 2. The tops and the bottoms of fractions want to be treated the same. They're jealous of each other. The only other operation you can do with fractions is to divide the tops and the bottoms. Don't ever subtract or add to the top and the bottoms because you won't get the same proportions. So we can rewrite this. 3/4 subtract 2/4 is equal to 1/4. 3 subtract 2 is equal to 1. The 4's on the bottom stay the same. So how much more sugar do we need? We need 1/4 cup more. Right, and that's it. We'll call that a wrap for this lesson. Great work, everyone. If you need more practice, rewind the video and try the problems again. Go through the questions on the worksheet that's provided. And if you're having any problems, get in touch with me and I'll be happy to help. I just ask that that you try and be as specific as you can be with your questions so that I know best how to help you. All right, remember, math is a journey, and Teacher Bob will be with you every step of the way. Bye for now.